Please do not buy a Ford F-150 unless it has this transmission, because the wrong one will drain your bank account in transmission repairs before you even hit 100,000 miles. I've been a Ford technician for over 15 years, and I've watched this exact mistake play out in my shop hundreds of times. Someone walks in excited about their new or used F-150, and within a few years, they're staring at a repair estimate that costs more than what they still owe on the truck. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly which transmission you want under that hood, which ones to avoid completely, and how to check before you sign anything. This isn't opinion. This is what I see on the lift every single week. Let's get into it. Ford has put several different transmissions into the F-150 over the years, and they are not created equal. The two you are most likely to run into on a used lot or even a new one are the 6-speed 6R80 automatic and the 10-speed 10R80 automatic. There is also an older 4-speed and 5-speed automatic on ancient F-150s that nobody should even be considering at this point, so we will skip past those. The 6R80 showed up around 2009 and stuck around through 2020 in various trims, usually paired with the 5.0-liter V8 or the smaller EcoBoost engines. The 10R80 started showing up in 2017, developed jointly with General Motors, and eventually became the standard transmission across almost every F-150 trim, including the hybrid Power Boost models. Knowing which one is bolted behind the engine in the truck you are looking at is the single most important piece of information you can gather before buying. Let us start with the 6R80 because this transmission earned a reputation as one of the most durable automatics Ford has ever built for a half-ton truck. It is a conventional 6-speed hydraulic automatic, which means it does not rely on the same complexity as the newer 10-speed units. Fewer clutch packs, fewer solenoids, fewer opportunities for something to go wrong. I have personally worked on 6R80 transmissions with over 200,000 miles on the original internals, still shifting smoothly with nothing more than regular fluid changes. When this transmission does fail, it is almost always because of neglect, meaning the owner never changed the transmission fluid, not because the design itself is flawed. If you find a used F-150 with a 6R80 and a documented fluid change history, you are looking at one of the most dependable used trucks on the market. The downside is fuel economy and towing refinement are not as sharp as the newer transmission, since 6 gears means bigger jumps between ratios and the engine spends more time outside its ideal RPM band. But reliability-wise, this is the transmission most experienced techs point to when they want to recommend an F-150 to a friend or family member. Now here's where it gets complicated and where you need to pay close attention. The 10R80 10-speed transmission is the one currently installed in the vast majority of new F-150s, and it's the transmission causing the most trouble in my shop right now. When it first launched in 2017, Ford was chasing fuel economy numbers to meet corporate average fuel economy standards, and the way you squeeze more miles per gallon out of an engine is by adding more gears so the engine can always sit closer to its efficient RPM range. 10 gears sounds great on paper. In practice, it means 10 sets of clutch packs, 10 sets of bands, and a transmission control module running incredibly complex shift logic to decide which of those 10 gears you should be in at any given moment. More complexity means more failure points, and that's exactly what happened. The early production years of the 10R80, specifically 2017 through 2019, developed a well-documented reputation for harsh and unpredictable shifting. Owners reported the transmission clunking hard between second and third gear, hesitating before downshifts, and in some cases, slamming into gear so aggressively that it felt like something had broken internally. Ford issued multiple technical service bulletins during this period, essentially factory-acknowledged software updates meant to smooth out the shift patterns. If you're looking at a 2017 through 2019 F-150 with the 10R80, the very first thing you need to do is have a dealer check whether the transmission control module software has been updated to the latest calibration. An outdated module on one of these early trucks will shift like it's fighting itself lurching and hunting for gears constantly, especially at low speeds in parking lots or stop-and-go traffic. But software updates only fixed part of the problem. The bigger issue with the early 10R80 units was torque converter shudder. This is a specific failure where the torque converter's lockup clutch doesn't engage smoothly. Instead of a seamless transition, you feel a vibration or shudder, almost like driving over rumble strips, typically between 40 and 55 miles per hour during light throttle cruising. This happens because the friction material inside the torque converter degrades, or because the transmission fluid itself breaks down faster than expected under the 10 speeds, tighter clearances, and higher operating pressures. I've replaced torque converters on 10R80 equipped trucks with as few as 45,000 miles on the odometer because of this shudder. A torque converter replacement on these trucks runs anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000, depending on labor rates in your area, and that's assuming the rest of the transmission internals are still healthy. If the shudder goes unaddressed for too long, the excess heat and friction material contamination spreads through the whole transmission, and now you're looking at a full rebuild or replacement in the $4,000 to $6,000 range. The transmission fluid itself is part of the story here too. Ford specifies a fluid called Mercon ULV for the 10R80, which stands for ultra-low viscosity. This thinner fluid was chosen specifically to reduce friction and improve fuel economy inside the transmission. But thinner fluid also means less of a protective margin if the transmission runs even slightly hot or if service intervals get stretched. Unlike older transmissions where a slightly late fluid change might not cause noticeable problems for years, the 10R80 is far less forgiving. I've seen shudder and clutch pack wear show up specifically on trucks where owners followed Ford's factory suggested maintenance schedule of no fluid change needed for the life of the vehicle. That factory guidance exists because Ford wants to advertise a lower cost of ownership on paper, not because the fluid genuinely never needs attention. Any technician who has actually opened up one of these transmissions after 60,000 or 80,000 miles will tell you the fluid is already visibly darker and starting to smell burnt, which is not what you want to see in a transmission that is supposedly good for life. So does this mean every 10R80 is a ticking time bomb? No, and this is important. Ford made real improvements to this transmission over time. By around the 2020 and 2021 model years, revised clutch material, updated torque converter designs, and much more refined shift software addressed most of the harsh shifting and shudder complaints from the early trucks. If you're looking at a 2021 or newer F-150 with the 10R80, you're getting a significantly more mature and reliable version of that same transmission architecture. The shift quality on these later trucks is noticeably smoother. The shudder issue has largely disappeared in my experience working on them, and Ford extended some of the underlying hardware improvements based on lessons learned from the early recalls and service bulletins. This is genuinely one of the better 10-speed transmissions on the market once you get past the growing pains of the first couple model years. This brings us to the actual advice at the center of this video. If you're shopping for a used F-150 built between 2017 and 2019, and it has the 10R80 10-speed transmission, proceed with real caution. Get the vehicle history, ask specifically whether the transmission control module software has been updated, have a technician check for torque converter shudder during a test drive at highway cruising speed, and budget for the possibility of a torque converter replacement, even if the truck seems to be running fine right now. If that same truck instead has the 6R80 6-speed transmission, which was still available as an option on certain trims and configurations during those years, you are in a much safer position, assuming reasonable maintenance history. And if you're looking at a 2021 model year or newer F-150 with the 10R80, that transmission has matured into a solid unit, and I would not hesitate to recommend it provided you commit to changing the fluid every 60,000 miles, regardless of what the factory maintenance schedule claims, because that single habit will add years of life to the transmission. There's another wrinkle worth mentioning if you're considering the F-150 hybrid, known as the Power Boost. This model also uses a modified 10R80 transmission but with an electric motor integrated into the torque converter housing to provide the hybrid assist. This adds another layer of complexity since now you have high-voltage electric components working directly inside the transmission bell housing. The good news is that Ford engineered this modified transmission specifically for hybrid duty from the start, rather than retrofitting an existing design, so it hasn't shown the same early shudder problems as the standard gas-only 10R80. However, repairs on this hybrid transmission variant are considerably more expensive because of the specialized electric motor integration, often requiring dealership-level diagnostic equipment that most independent shops don't have. If you're buying a PowerBoost hybrid F-150, make sure you're buying it new or with the powertrain warranty still fully intact, because out-of-warranty repairs on this specific transmission variant can run well into 5 figures. I also want to address something that comes up constantly in my shop, which is owners who tow heavy trailers with the wrong transmission expectations. The 10R80 was designed with towing in mind, and Ford's tow haul mode does a genuinely good job of managing shift points and engine braking when you engage it properly. But I regularly see owners towing at or near the F-150's maximum rated capacity while leaving the transmission in normal drive mode instead of tow haul. This causes the transmission to hunt between gears constantly under load, generating far more heat than it's designed to handle in that mode, and heat is the single fastest way to degrade transmission fluid and burn up clutch packs regardless of which generation of 10R80 you have. If you're going to tow anything close to your F-150's rated capacity, get in the habit of engaging tow haul mode every single time, no exceptions, because that mode exists specifically to protect the transmission from the exact kind of heat buildup that causes premature failure. Let's also talk about how you can check any specific F-150 you're considering before you buy it, because this information is more accessible than most people realize. Every Ford vehicle has a build sheet tied to its VIN number that lists the exact transmission installed at the factory. You can request this from a Ford dealership, or in many cases, a quick VIN decode through Ford's own online tools or through third-party VIN decoding websites will tell you definitively whether you're looking at a 6R80 or a 10R80 and which model year revision of that transmission it is. Don't rely on window stickers or what a private seller tells you, because trim packages and engine options sometimes get mixed up in casual conversation. Get the actual build sheet or VIN decode and confirm it yourself. If you're currently looking at F-150s built for the 2017 through 2019 window, and you've fallen in love with one that has the 10R80, don't panic and walk away immediately. Just negotiate accordingly. Factor the potential cost of a torque converter service into your offer and specifically ask the seller or dealership whether the latest transmission control module calibration has already been installed, since that update alone resolves a significant portion of the harsh shifting complaints, even if it doesn't fully eliminate shudder risk. A truck that's already had this update and shows no shudder symptoms on a test drive is a much safer bet than one that's never seen a dealership since it left the factory. For anyone currently sitting on an early 10R80 equipped F-150, wondering if they made a mistake, don't panic either. Start by getting the transmission fluid changed with the correct Mercon ULV specification fluid, regardless of what the factory maintenance schedule claims about lifetime fluid. Pay attention during highway cruising for any shudder sensation between 40 and 55 miles per hour, and if you notice it, get the torque converter inspected before it progresses into something more expensive. Confirm your transmission control module software is current, since Ford dealerships can check and update this in under an hour. In most cases, often at no cost, if your truck is still within its original powertrain warranty period. These 3 steps alone will meaningfully extend the life of an early 10R80 and catch problems while they're still cheap to fix. The bottom line is this: the F-150 remains one of the best-selling and most capable trucks on the market for good reason, but the transmission behind that engine matters just as much as the engine itself when it comes to long-term reliability and your wallet. A well-maintained 6R80 is about as bulletproof as automatic transmissions get in this class. A 2021 or newer 10R80 has matured into a genuinely strong 10-speed unit. But an early 2017 through 2019 10R80 without a documented update and service history is where I see the most expensive surprises land on unsuspecting owners. Do your homework, check that build sheet, ask the right questions, and you'll end up with a truck that serves you well for a couple 100,000 miles instead of one that has you back in a repair shop parking lot wondering what went wrong. If this information saved you from a costly mistake, do me a favor and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and drop a comment letting me know which transmission your F-150 has. I read every comment and I want to hear whether your truck matches what we talked about today. Share this video with anyone you know who's shopping for a used F-150 right now, because this single piece of information could save them thousands of dollars down the road. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.